So let me break it down again, since this is heavy, weird stuff. In high Circuit 6 experiences, you can make contact and establish a relationship with the goddess archetype, the mother of the world. If this relationship is reverential enough, you will activate Circuit 7 in a stable manner. In Circuit 7, you can make contact with the self, hidden in the world. This is the anthropos. Christ is the most well-known name used for the anthropos. With both Circuit 6 and Circuit 7 activated in a healthy, stable fashion, one experiences the unity of matter and psyche firsthand. This is the unus mundus. The unus mundus can be represented mythologically as a sacred marriage. Male, female, matter, mind, physical, psyche. The sacred marriage is an alchemical, mythical, and yogic representation of the unity of the world. Jung was convinced that the experience of the sacred marriage of matter and mind was required of anyone who wants to fully understand what it really means to be human. This is a mosaic found in a 6th century Christian church. It seems to show Jesus and Mary Magdalene as a representation of the sacred marriage. Jesus is of the sun, representing God's light and male attributes, what the Taoists call Yan. Mary Magdalene is of the moon, representing God's darkness and female attributes, what the Taoists call Yin. The unification is a sacred marriage at the center of a mandala, where all things become one. This oneness is the self. Through this sacred marriage, this experience of the self, Jesus of Nazareth became Christ. And each of us can follow in his footsteps, even those that identify as female human beings. Jesus is quoted as saying, "Every woman who makes herself male will enter into the kingdom of heaven." What he's saying is that if you make yourself the bridegroom in the sacred marriage, regardless of your human gender, you too will experience the self. This is strikingly similar to Jung's theory of the archetypes of anima and animus. This is an elaborate subject and also controversial, which could have a lecture of its own. But briefly, I'll say that Jung called the feminine the anima and the masculine the animus. His theory says that we're all in some way imprinted towards one or the other and spend our lives looking for balance, most often in our romantic partners. In his way of looking at things, the ideal is to become, in some respect, androgynous by integrating both female and male forces in oneself. The Bridal Chamber is a recurring theme in Christian writing. The Gospel of John says, "The one who has the bride is the bridegroom." The book of Revelation says, "The Spirit and the bride say, 'Come.' Let the one who is thirsty take the water of life without price." It also says, "Blessed are those who are invited to the marriage supper." From the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus is quoted as saying, "When you make the two one, and when you make the inside as the outside, and the outside as the inside, and the upper side as the lower side, and when you make the male and female into a single one, so the male will not be male, nor the female will be female, then you shall enter the kingdom of God." He also says, "Where one is undivided, he will be filled with light. But whenever one is divided, he will be filled with darkness." Von Franz explained that alchemy can be viewed as a continuation and completion of Christian mythology. Christianity is on the decline these days. There seems to be no doubt about this. Von Franz believed going back to its alchemical roots can revive it and make it relevant again. The Christian story, as it's currently taught, has become one-sided, all loving and wonderful. It doesn't include the feminine or include the dark aspects of the divine experience. It metaphysically treats matter as dead and the material world as the realm of evil. Alchemy incorporates the light as well as the darkness. It treats the world of mind and matter as alive. And this alchemy is not just a theme in Christianity. Hieros Gamos, Greek for holy marriage, is the general mythological term for the sacred marriage. This theme can be found all the way back to Sumerian writing, the earliest writing in history. In ancient Greek mythology, a notable instance is the wedding of Zeus and Hera. In Tantric Buddhism, the symbolism of union and sexual polarity is a central teaching, especially in Tibet. This is called Yabyum. This is where the divine union of the opposites is realized by the practitioner as a mystical experience within their own body. In Hinduism, the gods are most often paired to symbolize the male and feminine aspects of the divine. The well-known figures of the lingam and yoni are often understood to represent male and female genitalia, but the symbolism runs deeper than that. This is about the sacred marriage. In modern-day Wicca, the Great Rite is a ritual based on this concept. It is generally enacted symbolically by a dagger being placed point first into a chalice. This action symbolizes the divine union of the male and the female. Here again is the Taijutsu symbol. The white represents the symbolically masculine, and the black represents the yin, symbolically female. There's a Janus mandala on this slide, and at its center is what most of us would call the Star of David, a symbol most commonly associated with Judaism. The upside-down triangle represents the feminine, and the triangle with the upwards point represents the masculine. Jung personally had his own literal form of a sacred Hieros Gamos. He had a 40-year relationship with his mistress and collaborator Tony Wolff. Jung says that this relationship represented a mystical union of the opposites, and he said he would not have been able to do the work of alchemy without her in his life and without her contributions to the work.